Welcome back, rankers. I am in Bali this week, and next week, which is why yesterday's show didn't come out, and it's coming out today. I couldn't get connectivity here, but I successfully gone and bought a SIM card for my Optus wireless broadband modem. I've bought a SIM card from a local supplier here, Telkomsel. Thank you very much to the people at Telkomsel. You're very, very helpful. And it's cost me something like $12 for the 2 weeks I'm here, which I'm pretty happy with. It's a lot cheaper than Australian access, and certainly a lot cheaper than paying Optus roaming charges. Okay, a couple of things today, a couple of quick things. Firstly, I told you the story last week of what we were trialling to get results in other top-level domains, and without having to go and actually build another site. Well, it turns out that it's actually working quite well for some of our clients. So if you do have export markets that you need to reach and you're concerned about duplicate content or do you have to build another site just for those markets and those sorts of things, go and watch last week's show, because simply by setting up Google Webmaster Tools for the top-level domains and making sure you have separate sitemaps for those same top-level domains, you will find that you will start ranking in those other country codes for Google. Okay, but today I just wanted to have a quick look at a search that we did for a client last week when we were sitting with them. Just typed in the word party dresses, because that's what they sell. And what we found was, we hadn't seen a lot of this before, but what we're starting to see now in the Google results is country-based Google vertical search. We haven't seen a lot of that up until now. Usually it's been, if you do pages from the world, if you're in another search engine other than google.com, you would see these pages, these images here coming up in Google vertical search. But what we're seeing now is starting to get localized. So we've chosen pages from Australia, and we're starting to see these images come up here. So now, the way that these images are appearing here is that Google has to know something about those images to know that they relate to the phrase that someone's typed in. So go and do the search yourself and go and have a look at those images and see whether you can find out or work out what it is around them that is making Google understand that they relate to party dresses. One of the main things you have to do if you want to get found in Google image search is in Webmaster Tools, you have to let Google know that yes, you want to be indexed for Google image search. But the main thing, of course, is using your keywords around those searches, making sure that any links pointing to those images within your site maybe have something about the key phrase that those images relate to. So go and have a do that. Look, it's really important if you're doing things that people want to have a look at, something that they want to see. So less important, of course, for a service. But for a product, it can be very important. And finally today, I just wanted to touch on, sorry to bore everybody who's not interested in this, but it really is important. Excellent story in The Age yesterday, Melbourne newspaper. Not that I actually read the newspaper, I just looked at the website. By Asher Moses on the Australian Internet Filter. Asher went and someone made an application anyway, Freedom of Information, wanting to know how the government's filter trial was going. And lo and behold, what they found was, if we look down here, is that there are no success criteria as such for the government's trials that it's currently running. Now what they're doing is they're trialling with 9 other ISPs the implementation of a filter to filter a blacklist. Now we've seen so many backdowns over the last couple of months from Senator Stephen Conroy on this. It's just incredible. We're talking about just over 900 sites now, which is refused classification sites, of which I think something like less than 30% of the total blacklist does actually relate to child pornography, which is meant to be the thing we're all meant to be getting protected from and our children protected from. The reason for that, of course, is that on that blacklist, which was started by the Liberal Party back in 2000 or 2001, is that they had R-rated material and MA-related material on it. So we've got the opposition now coming out and saying, oh, the government's been ridiculous, they're running a trial, and there's no success criteria as such. Yes, that is ridiculous, but let's not lose sight of the fact that the ridiculous thing, and the main thing that's ridiculous here, is that we actually even have a blacklist, and we're actually talking about a filter, because these things don't work. Now, in case you are unaware of how the blacklist works, someone complains about a site to the Australian Communications Media Authority. If it's deemed to be inappropriate content, or whatever that means, and now we're saying that the filter is going to only look at refused classification content, but the blacklist presumably will still look at R-rated or MA material. Well, that gets listed on the blacklist. The ISP can be issued a takedown notice, and if the content is hosted in Australia, it will be taken down. However, like most of this content, it's not hosted in Australia, and even if it was, the owner of the content could move it in an hour to another country's jurisdiction. So this blacklist that the government has is just a list to show you where all the most offensive content is. It's still up there. It's not being filtered, and even if it does get filtered, and whether the government just says, okay, we're just going to filter the actual addresses that are on this blacklist, then the content owners can just change the addresses, and it's available tomorrow at another address. It can have a dynamic address based on a whole bunch of other things. And what happens when people are linking to this content through short URL services? It's at a different address. However, it's still the same content. And the other ludicrous thing about this whole, what we're finding out now, is that there is no success criteria as such. Is the government has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this thing. And even back in 2001, they were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on this thing with taxpayers' money. It's just folly. And quite frankly, I'm really, really angry about it from a taxpayer's point of view, that both our political parties in this country are just throwing our money away on such folly. Anyway, that's it for me. And we'll see you next week. Still coming from Bali. And if you have any questions, send them in. And Twitter is probably the easiest way to get them to me. So thanks very much. We'll see you next week. Bye.